The South River Trolley, 1895 to 1930. 1895 saw a great deal of debate about the merits of bringing an electric railway to South River. Local businesses weighed in on the topic, and for a period in June there were almost daily letters to the editor of the Daily Times in support of the project. In June 1895, the Brunswick Traction Company filed its official petition to the town commissioners for consent and permission to construct, operate, and maintain a street railway to be operated by motors driven by electricity from overhead wires suspended on poles and commonly called the overhead or trolley system. Petitions were submitted to the Middlesex County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Milltown, East Brunswick, and other towns in the area around the same time. The Town Commission held a meeting on June 17th to consider the petition, but adjourned to allow for further petitions and discussion. Meetings and public hearings with hundreds of residents in attendance were held throughout the summer and into September. On September 24th, after hours of discussion and a compromise that had the company offering to pave and gravel the streets on condition that the town supply the gravel, the 5 town commissioners voted 3-2 to pass the trolley ordinance. The route was to follow Main Street from Old Bridge Turnpike to Ferry Street. From Ferry Street it would continue on to Jackson Street, and from there to the causeway and the bridge over the South River. Since the Brunswick Traction Company had obtained consent from property owners along the route while negotiations with the town were still going on, construction work was started the next morning. In October 1895, Richard Van Dyke Reed documented some of the construction being done on the trolley line. The captions on the construction photographs included here are his. These 2 images were taken on Lower Main Street looking toward the river. In the background, the Riverside House, a hotel located at the foot of Main Street where the bridge now sits, is visible. The Washington Hotel, near the corner of Main and Ferry Streets, is the last identifiable building on the right in both photographs. The view up Main Street was also captured by Reed on October 26. The Washington Hotel at the left and the collection of other hotels and small businesses lining both sides of the downtown street hope to benefit from the availability of the trolley. While some of the workers dug and graded the streets for the rails, others installed poles to hold the wires for the electric street railway. Here a pole is being raised in front of a home and store near the bend of Main Street above Thomas Street. The wires are also being installed on Main Street. 2 days after Reed's first photographs of the construction work for the trolley, the Daily Times reported that a big gang of Italians and other laborers were set to work on Sunday laying the track through South River. This view, like the one of the pole being raised, was taken near the bend of Main Street above Thomas Street looking toward the river. The house at the immediate left appears in both photographs. The official opening of the trolley line was in November 1895. 14 decorated trolley cars set out from New Brunswick with passengers that included local and county officials, the Rutgers president and members of the faculty, ministers, doctors, lawyers, and businessmen. According to the Brunswick Daily Times, the trolley party arrived at South River at 3:01 p.m. on Saturday, November 2nd, without mishap. The earliest trolley photograph in the collection at the South River Museum shows the summer trolley in 1896 at Yates Corner, the intersection of Ferry Street and Jackson Street. The building in the background is Yates Hall, which later became the Portuguese Fisherman Restaurant and Bar. The 1902 photograph was taken on Main Street. The image was used as the model for a painting done by Marie Fazer on behalf of the Willett School PTA in 1972. The exact location of the scene hasn't been determined, but it seems reasonable to speculate that the trolley may have been stopped near the trolley waiting room. In the early 1900s, the waiting room was located in a confectionery store owned by George Radcliffe. It was the only place in the borough where trolley tickets were sold. An elaborate celebration for the trolley's first anniversary was held on November 2, 1896. Car number 111, the first car to travel the tracks in 1895, was decorated with chrysanthemums, flags, and greenery. It traveled from Milltown into New Brunswick, followed by a horse-drawn car that was in use before the inception of the trolley. Upon arrival at the office of the Brunswick Traction Company at George and Albany Streets, guests were invited to board the trolley for a ride over the entire route from New Brunswick to South River and back. Along the way, refreshments were served and speeches were made. Later in the day, employees of the company traveled the line again with a big band in the decorated car and fireworks along the route. Although the photograph shows the trolley running in spite of the flooding, it's impossible to know how far it traveled that day. When storms were bad enough for flooding to submerge the tracks, trolley cars were unable to cross the river to and from Sayreville. Water sometimes rose enough to back up into the powerhouse at the causeway, further interfering with the trolleys. Postmarked in 1906, this image shows the trolley in the downtown section of South River with a ship at dock at the end of Main Street. The dock was built around 1903 when the hotel that was formerly located there was moved. The brick building at the right, with the rounded feature at the roofline, is at the corner of Obert Street. The trolleys ran regardless of the weather, but major storms could wreak havoc with the wires and the tracks. A storm on February 21, 1902, completely stopped the service. Wires and poles were pulled down by accumulated ice, and the tracks were blocked by fallen tree limbs, snow, and slush. 14 people who left South River by trolley heading for New Brunswick on the night of the storm got as far as Milltown when the trolley car was forced to stop. They spent the night in the powerhouse there. The photograph was taken on Upper Main Street approaching Hillside Avenue. The house at the right is 238 Main Street. The trolley was discontinued and replaced with a bus line in 1930. Although some towns had the trolley rails removed after the line was discontinued and repaving planned, South River's trolley rails were paved over in the summer of 1931. In 1942, the Federal War Production Board asked New Jersey municipalities for agreement regarding the removal of abandoned trolley rails to be used for the war effort. The 60,000 tons of high-grade steel, when combined with scrap metal, would result in enough steel for the production of 6 battleships, 110,000 16-inch shells, or 225,000 3-inch anti-aircraft guns. The cost of the removal and repaving was to be met by the federal government with labor supplied by the Work Projects Administration. South River was one of the first municipalities in Middlesex County to agree to the project. Rail removal in Middlesex County started in September 1942.